What's up, Mindsetters? I am back. Looney it is, and you're hanging out with Ashraf. Ashraf, how are you?
Good, and you, Looney?
I'm good, thank you, and it is our first time working together, so I'm very excited. As you know, Mindsetters, it is prelim exam review, and we're going through prelim papers to help you get ready for that last lap of the race, because as you know, here at Mindset, we've been holding your hand throughout the whole year, running this race together. And you know, we must always pace ourselves, because like proper athletes, we won't sprint. We'll take it one stride at a time, and we'll go together with the race, and we'll finish together at the end. Remember guys, as you prepare for your exams, we do have a Learn Extra exam revision marathon competition. I said in one breath, this thing. So all you need to do, guys, is remember that we are sponsored by Samsung for this competition. We're giving away amazing tablets. So if you don't have a Samsung smartphone or a tablet, don't you sweat it. We got your back, guys. All you need to do is go download the notes and find your race number there. But remember, entries open on Monday, and the race numbers will be available from Monday onwards. So remember to keep your eyes glued on your screens and on our Facebook page. I'll just show you what this baby does over here. So this is basically the library, the Learning Hub library on the Samsung tablet. You go to the stores to access Mindset Learn, like that, and you see all the products that we have. And remember guys, it is updated on a daily basis, so all the content here, you can buy it. And remember, if you have a Samsung smartphone, which is your Galaxy S3s, your S4s, your Notes and all of that, you can get the Learning Hub on your Samsung Hub on the smartphone. Search for learning and you'll find the Learning Hub there. Go to Mindset, get yourself these goodies, and then on your tablet, you get it from your Samsung apps. You search for the Learning Hub and you'll get it there, and then you just, buy everything you want. And remember guys, it is Samsung premium smartphone, so all the latest trends. But remember guys, we do want you to enter that competition if you don't have that device. I told you all the details, so I won't waste Ashraf's time. But before that, Ashraf, sorry, can I just talk a bit more? Facebook.com/Learn Extra, that is our Facebook page. @Learn Extra is our Twitter handle. Remember, you can download all the show notes, the videos, the schedules, and everything else for Learn Extra on learnextra.co.za/lives. I am done, Ashraf.
Thank you, Looney. What day is it today?
Today is Saturday.
And
it's the weekend.
And about the teaching?
World Teachers Day. Happy World Teachers Day to you,
Thank
Ashraf.
Thank
and
you,
to
guys.
all the teachers out there.
Remember, to all the teachers out there, what do we say? Your profession gives birth to all other professions.
Yeah, so thank you to all our teachers. We may take them for granted, but we thank you so much. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for our teachers.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Ashraf, for
Only
that.
a pleasure.
All right, so you can take it away
Can
now
I
with
take
the
it
lesson.
away? Okay, guys, we are focused. Remember, like Looney said, the marathon is entering its last lap. It's now what you're going to make happen. Watch this here. What are we looking at? Okay, in today's question, our focus is on cash flow statements. And once again, I know many a candidate sits there and says, I wish this cash flow, what kind of ogre is it? We're going to make sure that you understand the cash flow question. We're going to work through it with you so that you know exactly how to go about answering this question in an examination. Right. Let's look at the question. One, it's adapted from the GDE prelim exam, right? The following information was extracted from the accounting records of Shishiko Limited. Shishiko Limited has an authorized, important word, share capital of 340 ordinary shares with a par value of 5 Rand each. Okay, so as you go through the question, you highlight pertinent information because it's going to assist you when you come to your calculations. Right, what are we expected to prepare? We are expected to prepare the note to the cash flow statement for the reconciliation between profit before tax and the cash generated from operations. Watch that, profit before tax and cash generated from operations. Okay, now, look at the information that I am given here. If I look at my information, I clearly see that I'm given my net profit after tax. Okay, so immediately I know that there is something that I need to do here. What is it that I need to do? Remember, when it comes to my question, I am expected to start off with my net profit before tax. So in other words, I need the net profit. But which net profit do I need? I need my net profit before tax. Now, grade 12s. Now is where the challenge is. What is the challenge? I'm given information regarding my net profit, but it's my net profit after tax for the year. What else do I know? Let's look at the information, and you will see that I am told that my income tax is calculated at 30% of net profit. In other words, this is what I'm going to do now. Watch this closely. I know that my net profit after tax, which was given to me as 392,000. So I take my net profit after tax, which is 392,000, and I say this is equal to 70%. Why do I do that? Because I know that the net profit after tax has been subjected to tax at 30%. In other words, the 392,000 is only equal to 70%. Therefore, my 100% is equal to my unknown. Okay, what do I want? I want my net profit before tax. And the figure before tax was the 100%. And when I subtracted the tax, watch this here. 100% minus my 30% tax is equal to the 70%. Watch how I go about answering this question. So in other words, I need the net profit before tax. Now, cross multiply. If we cross multiply, remember this was just a calculation to show you why we use that particular ratio. So what do we say now? We say that 392,000 times 100, okay, I'm cross multiplying, is equal to 70x. Right, what have I done? Grade 12s, all that I've done is I'm solving for x. I'm looking for my missing figure. And what am I doing here? I'm cross multiplying. 392,000 times the 100 is equal to my 70x. Okay, then let's take our calculators out here. And we say 392,000, right, times 100, divided that by 70, and your answer is 560,000. So, what have I calculated? I have now calculated my net profit before taxation. Now, just another method in which this can be calculated, depending on the information that is provided to you. Remember, if you have a situation where you are unable to use a calculation, but is there another route out of this problem, out of this challenge? If you go to your income statement and you find that your net profit before tax is given to you as a question mark, what do, Looney? Do you start crying, my dear? No, you don't start crying. You think of learn extra, yes. And what did they say we must do? Follow the procedure.
Yes.
Right, so what's the procedure? Watch this here, guys. It's my appropriation account, and you know your appropriation account, don't you? What is in your appropriation account? On the debit side, you've got ordinary share dividends. You've got income tax, you've got your retained income, which one? The end of the year, right? I'm giving you the format of the appropriation account. Then I have my profit and loss figure, and I have my retained income, the one at the beginning of the year. Notice that if this information is given to you, all this information is given to you, and you are now looking for this figure here, that, grade 12s, is your net profit before taxation. So, what have we learned today? We can either do the calculation route, as you have seen in the question that we are answering, or you can take the route of the missing figure in your ledger account. Which ledger account? The appropriation account. I hope that is crystal clear to you. Right, coming back to my question, what do I need? So, we've got our net profit before tax, which was 560,000. Okie dokie. Step number 2. What do I add back? The first item that I will add back is my depreciation. Let's get colorful. Why do we add back depreciation? Come, by now, remember this is prelim revision. So by now, you must be shouting out those answers. We must be able to hear them here in studio, isn't it, Looney? Can you hear them screaming out the answers?
It's still silent.
It's still silent, eh? We can't hear them screaming out the answers. Yes, the reason that we add back depreciation, grade 12s, is because depreciation is what we call an imputed expense. What do we mean by that? By that we mean it's an expense that does not affect the flow of funds. No moolah is leaving our business. No money is leaving our business. The bank account is not affected in any way. So why do we add back depreciation? Once again, because it's an imputed expense which does not affect the flow of funds. Therefore, what we say, we will add back our depreciation. Now, let's find the depreciation. Is the depreciation given to me? Looking at my information, I see depreciation for the year, 84,000. Well done. Thanks to the examiners, it was given to us. So, we add back the 84,000 for depreciation. Right, the next item that we're going to add back, grade 12s, is what? We're going to add back our interest. And why do we add back the interest? Again, you should know this by now. Your interest expense is, what do we know about interest expense? It is not an operating expense. What is it? It's a financing expense. And therefore, the difference with your interest expense is that it is added back now to be subtracted somewhere else. What's the difference? This one is added back never to be subtracted because it's a non-cash item. But I add back my interest expense, and the reason I add back my interest expense is because it is not an operating expense but a financing expense, and it will have a specific place on the cash flow statement, on the face of the cash flow statement. Good. Let's get the figure, and we find our figure there is interest on borrowed money, 12,700. Okie dokie. Let's enter that figure, 12,700. What do we now have? Our calculator. We've got our 560,000 plus our depreciation of, it was 84,000, plus my expense, which was 12,700, to give me 656,700, 656,700. That is my operating profit before any changes in working capital. Right, so what you're going to do now, you're going to absorb what we've done. And you're not going to stray or go away, because the place to be is Mindset Learn.
I like how you say you never stray. You won't.
Don't you stray,
Don't
or
stray
go away.
or go away, because mindset is the place to be. With that said, mindsetters, we are going to take a very short break. So don't stray or go away. We'll see you straight after this break. What's up, mindsetters? Welcome back from the very short break. I'd just like to send young shout outs to the mindsetters: Charlie, Gratitude, Yongama, Pascal, Squire, and Dito. And then Ashraf Dito says he really needs help with the cash flow, so I'm glad you're helping him.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for that.
It's only a pleasure.
Yes. And mindsetters, don't forget, if we don't get to answer any questions that you may have, we do have a help desk. Okay, so you just go to www.learnextra.co.za/help desk. Send your question there and it will be answered in a nice amount of time. Like, you won't wait for too long. Or if you have Mixit, guys, if you're still on that whole Mixit tip, you can go to Mixit and you can get the help desk on the Mixit. So you just go to Mixit and you go to where you download your apps or whatever on Mixit, and you'll see the help desk is there. Send your questions through there and they will be answered. Okay, guys, so don't sweat it if we don't get through your questions, but we will answer as many questions as we can. Not a lot of you are asking questions, so please, mindsetters, just hop on over the page and hit us up. Ashraf,
Yes, Luni.
back to you.
Thank you very much. Right, mindsetters, we're busy with the cash flow statement. Remember, we're into the second part of our question, where we now have to look at the changes in working capital. We got to look at 3 items specifically. What do we look at? We look at inventories, we look at our trade and other receivables, and obviously we look at our trade and other payables. So these are the 3 items that we're going to focus on. Right, let's get right into our information and see what do we have here. Okay, with regards to the extract from the balance sheet, remember, what did we say in our lessons prior to this year? What did we spoke about something specifically that I want to draw your attention to. And Luni,
Yes.
I want you to be part of this, my dear. Watch
okay.
this here.
Okay.
We told them in all our lessons that whenever you are working with the cash flow statement, remember, a cash flow is about comparisons. You're comparing one year to the previous year.
Okay.
In other words, mindsetters, you remember what I said? I said whenever you are doing a question on the cash flow, the first thing that they have to do, Luni, is to draw the love arrow.
Love.
Yes.
Why do you
Now
call it the love arrow?
Now you come explain to you why I say that.
Okay.
You do know that if the love arrow, Cupid's arrow, goes into the wrong direction,
Yeah.
it creates havoc
Yeah.
in your lives.
Okay.
Am I right? Now watch this here.
Okay.
The accounting love arrow. Watch it. That's the beginning of the year, 2012. That's the end of the year, 2013. So now they need to know that that is the comparison. You're comparing from 2012 to 2013. Can you see the direction of your arrow? And obviously, if you compare in the opposite direction, it's going to create havoc in your accounting question.
Okay. Okay.
Got it?
Got it.
You should have been one of my students.
High five.
Thank you. Thank you. Got it. Okay, guys. So the arrow is important, indicating to you beginning of the year, end of the year. Let's look at inventories. What do we see here? There's my inventories. Immediately I see beginning of the year 85,000, end of the year 110,000. What's the question that I ask myself? Oh yes, before the question, what else did we speak about? Let's see if you remember the French that we taught you on Mindset Learn. Remember these words? A-I-U-L-I-G. You remember this one? Mindsetters? I said, don't worry about the pronunciation. If you want to say Ayolich, it's fine. However you want to pronounce it, is not important. The meaning is what we want. When an asset increases in value, what's happening to the mullah? The mullah is being utilized. Therefore, that figure needs to be in brackets to indicate an outflow of funds. When a liability increases in value, we are generating funds. In other words, this year is a positive. There's an inflow. We are getting money. We got the funds. Therefore, cash is being generated. Okay, that was the one. And the other one was this one here. I hope you remember this one as well. The second one was Ed Gledu. And what was this one here? When an asset decreases in value, we are generating. It's a positive. But when a liability decreases in value, we are utilizing. So keep this at the back of your minds. Right, going back into the question now. Let's check it out. What happened to inventory? There's my inventory. It was 85,000, is now 110,000. In other words, what happened to my inventory? My inventory increased in value. By how much did it increase? 110 minus 85, 110,000 minus 85,000 will tell me that it increased by 25,000 rand. That's right. So therefore, notice an increase in inventory of 25,000 rand. What do we know, mindsetters? We know that when an asset increases in value, what have we done? We have utilized funds. There is my bracket. The U telling me that that indicates an outflow of funds. Right. The next item that we look at is our receivables. Now, back to my information. What do I know about my receivables? Firstly, let me identify my receivables. What are my receivables in this case here? One, debtors control would definitely be part of my receivables. Accrued income would also be part of my receivables, right? What do we know about SARS income tax? We know that we exclude SARS income tax. Reason? It has a note of its own. What else do we know? Is there any other item that we can see that would be part of our receivables? At the moment, only those two items. Therefore, what do we now do? Watch this here. The total there is 35,000. So what am I doing? I'm adding my receivables for last year, which was the two items, debtors control and accrued income. Right. And then I compare it with this year, and the comparison is 77,600. Where do I get 77,600 from, mindsetters? Watch. 75,000 plus the 2,600. That would be part of my trade and other receivables. Okay, so 77,600. That's the first item that I want. 77,600 minus, what was it? It was 35,000. Can you see where I'm getting 35,000 from? I'm adding the 32,000 plus the 3,000 to give me a figure of 35,000. So once again, minus 35,000, and this is equal to 42,600. In other words, what happened to my trade and other receivables? My trade and other receivables increased. By what amount did it increase? By 42,600. Okay, let's get into the answer. Remember, 42,600. And what do I know? When an asset increases in value, that figure has to appear between a bracket to indicate an outflow of funds. Right, so there's my receivables sorted out, done and dusted. Next item that I look at is my payables. Right, into my information, let's identify our payables. What are my payables? Let's check. Creditors control is definitely a payable, right? Accrued expense is also a payable, and income received in advance is also a payable. So what have I done? I've identified my three payables that would impact on my cash flow statement. What were they? Creditors control, accrued expenses, and income received in advance. What about SARS income tax that it has a credit balance? What about shareholders for dividends that has a credit balance as well? Come on, guys. What's the answer? Very simple. Those two items do not form part of this calculation. The reason, they have notes of their own. Therefore, they do not form part of this calculation. In other words, the only ones that I look at now would be these three items here. Right, let us add the three items. What do we have? We've got 78,000. We've got 78,000 plus we've got 440 plus we have income received in advance of 5,000 rand plus the 5,000 rand to give me a total of 83,440. Okay, let's keep that figure so we can use it. 83,440. That was the total of my payables in terms of these three items here. Right, let's now add what were their opening balances. Remember, those are your closing balances, your balances at year end. Opening balances, let's add our opening balances. It's a 66,000 plus 700 plus, so we've done that one, plus the 3,500. So here goes 3,500, and the total is 70,200. Watch, the total is 70,200. Okay, clearly you can see what happened to your liability. Your liability has increased from what? It has increased from 70,200 to 83,440. So an increase of a liability. Let's do the maths there. So it's 83,440. 83,440 minus my 70,200. And my answer is 13,240. Okay, so 13,240. 13,240. Now the question arises, must the figure be a positive or a negative? Is there a bracket or is there no bracket? Once again, remember what I told you. The moment a liability increases in value, we are generating funds. Here we have generated because our liabilities increased in value, and the amount by which it increased was 13,240. Okie dokie. Right, let's move on now. What are we now going to do? We're now going to calculate the answers that we've already worked out, and we know that we take our calculator, 656,700. So 656,700. What was that figure? That was my operating profit before changes in working capital. Right, I must subtract 25,000. It's in a bracket, minus 25,000. And what else do I have to do? I've got to subtract 42,600. Let's do that. Minus 42,600. And what else do I have to do? I have to add an amount of 13,240. Therefore, add plus 13,240, and voila, we have our answer. What is my answer? 602,340. Watch this here. 602,340. What have we done? We have now calculated our cash generated from operations? And the answer is a positive 602,340. 15 marks. What's you going to appear on your answer book? 15 out of 15. Right, let's carry on with our question. What are we now expected to do? In the next question, you are told, prepare the following section to the cash flow statement. Which section? The section that says cash flow from investing activities. Right, now, you do know that when you are working with investing activities, what are you looking at? When you are looking at investing activities, you are basically looking at three items. You are looking, one, at your tangible assets purchased. Number two, you are looking at the proceeds of your disposal. In other words, was there an asset that was sold? And how much did we sell it for? So you're looking at the proceed. And the third aspect that you are looking at is your investments in a fixed deposit or any other investment. So, in terms of my tangible assets, I now need to find out, with regards to my tangible assets, I want to know what was the tangible assets that were purchased. Remember that this is going to be the value of the assets that we have purchased. Okay, guys, it's time for a break. Now, this section here always poses a bit of a challenge. So my challenge to you is, have a break, take a breather, have a refresher, and we'll be waiting for you.
All right. Mindset is Ashraf said it all. Have a break, take a breather, have something to drink, and just chill out for a bit. And I'll see you straight after this break. Welcome back, Mindsetters, from that break. I hope you guys are nice and refreshed. You chilled out, you writing down notes, you're listening to Ashraf as he's giving you this great accounting lesson. Just a reminder, only 22 days left until you guys write your final exam. So hope you are preparing. As we said, we are running this race with you and we are helping you throughout this journey, guys. Only 22 more days until you're at that final, so make sure you are prepared and give every subject your attention. Don't just pay attention to the ones you'll be writing first, then you forget because you're on a long break and then no, guys, make an effort to pay attention to all your subjects because they all count and they all matter, because at the end of the day we want you to pass with flying colors. So Ashraf,
yes,
help us with the counting, please.
Certainly, my dear. Remember, you made a very, very important point, that plan your study sessions. Don't leave everything for the last
minute. Yeah.
Because if you do not plan, then definitely that's a recipe for disaster.
Yes.
If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Yes.
And that's not what we want with you guys. So make sure that you've got your study program in place, give every subject its due. And remember, accounting is the second paper.
Yes.
So definitely one of the earlier papers, and it often happens that the earlier papers, from our experience, we have found that the earlier you write your accounting paper, your results are always better. So we are hoping that you're going to get those A's in accounting. We just don't want them to pass.
Yes.
We want them to do well in the exams.
Distinctions mindset.
That's the one.
Yes.
That's the one. Right. Okay, guys, what are we doing? We are working out the cash flow from investing activities. Investing, like we said before the break, we're looking at tangible assets that have been purchased. Okay, so immediately into my information, and what do I find? I'm looking at tangible assets purchased. So I focus immediately on my land and buildings. And what do we find about land and buildings? We find that land and buildings, again, the comparison, remember that that is the direction of my comparison. Immediately I can see that I had 1,780,000 at the beginning of the year, and now I have 1,890,000. So immediately I say 1,890,123 minus 1,780,000, 1,780,123, and my answer is 110,000. Now what has happened? Notice what has happened. I have purchased land and buildings. I have purchased land and buildings to the value of 110,000 rand. Now the question arises, or you should be asking this question, but why did Ashraf do a straightforward comparison for land and buildings? Once again, let's look at the question and see what we did. Why did I just do a straightforward comparison for land and buildings? And the answer, grade 12s, is very simple. Land and buildings is not subjected to depreciation. Therefore, what you do is you make a straightforward comparison between the two. And what has happened in this case here, your land and building has increased by 110,000, so you know that you have purchased land and buildings to the value of 110,000 rand. Okay, next one. Vehicles and equipment at cost. Can I do the same thing here? Certainly not. Why not? Because one, it's subjected to depreciation, and number two, there may be other information that I need to bring into account. Okay, let's do that. Let's look at this information that we have here. Number 7 tells us a vehicle with a cost price of 50,000 rand, cost price of 50,000 rand, was sold at its carrying value for 26,000 rand. So immediately, grade 12s, immediately, what have they given me? Because what do I know in cash flow? Let's just take one step back. What do I know in cash flow? In cash flow, I know that I will dispose of the asset at carrying value. In other words, no profit or loss on sale of asset. So therefore, I can see that I have my carrying value of 26,000 rand. So that's the price at which I'm going to dispose of the asset. Immediately, this gives me my proceed. How much am I selling the asset for? I'm selling the asset for 26,000 rand. So, in my proceed, I say immediately put in my proceed of my disposal, and the amount is 26,000 rand. Notice how I extract the information and immediately go into my answer book and write in the figure that needs to be written. Right, going back to the information. With regards to vehicles and equipment, there are many routes you can take in order to calculate the amount of tangible assets that were purchased. Because remember, they're telling you in the question, what are they telling you? They're telling you that fixed assets were purchased during the financial year. We need to find the amount of tangible assets that were purchased. So, this is what we're going to do. Watch this here very closely. Here's my account. What is this? My asset account. Step number 1. Opening balance. My opening balance for my vehicles and equipment was a figure of 840,000. That, grade 12s, is my opening balance. So immediately I say, fine, if that is my opening balance, 840,000 is my balance at the beginning of the year. Look at the procedure that I follow. So step number 1, what do I look for? I look for my opening balance. Step number 2, closing balance. let's identify the closing balance. Immediately into my information, my closing balance is an amount of 980,000. So what did I have? I had my opening balance, now my closing balance, 980,000. What do I know? For it to be a balance brought down, it has to be a balance carried down. Notice the placement of my information. Once again, opening balance to closing balance. Step number 3, what do I know? A vehicle with a cost price of 50,000 Rand was sold. What was my double entry? Come on, grade 12s. What was my double entry? My double entry was a debit to asset disposal. Why? Because I'm taking the vehicle out of my vehicle's account, and a credit to my vehicle's account at cost price. Because, why? Watch this closely now. This here is information at cost price. And that's the secret. Remember, if this was given to you at carrying value, then you have to take a different route. But because it's the cost price, we will follow the cost price route. What have we done? Let's recap. We've put in the opening balance. We've put in the closing balance of my asset. 1 opening balance, 2 closing balance. 3, put in the asset disposal. This is the asset disposal. And very important, at what price? At my cost. Why the cost? Because all the information in this account here is at cost. Therefore, can I now calculate the value of my tangible assets purchased? Let's go for it. Watch. Starting from here, 980,000, right? Plus the 50,000. Remember, I'm adding on this side of the account is equal to 1,030,000 minus 840,000, and this is equal to 190,000. Watch this here. This missing figure of 190,000, what is this figure here? Come on, grade 12s. This is my bank figure. This is the value of my tangible assets that I have purchased. What is it? 190,000 Rand. So, this means therefore that I need to include this here, 190,000. Once again, a recap. This was the land and buildings that you purchased, and this was the vehicles and equipment that we had purchased. Watch, the total of these two figures will be a figure of 300,000 Rand. And therefore, this 300,000 Rand will give you the 6 marks that you are looking for. The 6 marks, Looney, that's going to make a difference to either, I'll put it the other way, the 6 marks that's going to get you your A in accounting.
Of course.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Right. Great stuff, guys. Okay, so this is how we go about determining the value of tangible assets that we have purchased. Okay, now let's complete this note here. Remember, this is a negative because it's an outflow of funds. Therefore, 300,000, let's put in the 300,000 minus the 26,000, which was my proceed, and my answer is 274,000 Rand. 274,000 Rand. That is the answer of my investing activities. Okay, guys, so moving on to my next question. What is it that is required of me? I need to calculate the following. The income tax that has been paid. Do you recall? And I think there was a question that was asked and answered on our Facebook page, but just to set your mind at ease, that SARS income tax, this one here, where we calculate the taxation paid, is always a note by itself. It's an independent note. Therefore, you do not include it in other calculations. I hope that clarifies the point for you. So now, we want to calculate our income tax paid. How are we going to do that? Very simple. Let's start with the given information. Once again, step number 1. Look at my information, and I see SARS income tax. Here's my SARS income tax. At the beginning of the year, there's a debit balance of 3,700. So therefore, I say debit balance of 3,700. I'm showing you how easy it is to make use of these T accounts. Right, step number 2, my closing balance. What was my closing balance for SARS income tax? A credit of 12,300. Therefore, if we look at this here, a credit balance of 12,300. Remember, 12,300 is my credit balance. Why? Because the next financial year, it needs to be brought down on my credit side. What else do I need? What was my income tax for the year? Okay, now, if we look at this here, remember, my net profit after tax was 392,000. What was my net profit before tax? Can you remember we calculated it as 560,000. Therefore, what do we say? We say 560,000 minus 392,000, and the figure is 168,000. Therefore, 168,000 is your income tax for the year. You can clearly see we've put in what? The opening balance, we've put in the closing balance, and we've put in the income tax figure for the year. All that we need to calculate now is the amount of taxation that has been paid. I'm sure you want to know what the figure is, so if you want to know, the place to be is Mindset Learn.
I like how you say that, Ashraf. So mindset is, we are going to take a break. You want to take a break, Ashraf? Yes, we're taking a break. We are going to take a break. Go chillax, just stretch your muscles a bit, do some young push-ups or something. Get some water, get some juice, get your brain fluid flowing again, and we'll see you straight after this. Welcome back, Mindsetters, from that break. I hope you guys are nice and energized and you've got your energy to run this race, because we've been running a race from this morning. We are helping you guys run this race, but we're pacing ourselves because we don't want to rush anything. We're just pacing ourselves through this exam revision program. So Ashraf,
yes, my dear,
we have a question here from Bals Elisha, and she's asking, can you please repeat the income tax part? It's kind of confusing.
Okay, no problem. We're going through the income tax again. So, watch closely, guys. Step number 1, determine your opening balance. And from the information that we had, let's look at the information. Notice that your opening balance for SARS income tax was a debit balance of 3,700. Therefore, watch here. There's my SARS income tax account, and there's the debit balance that I've indicated. So step number 1, always look for your opening balance. Right, once that is done, guys, it's about procedure. Step number 2, look for your closing balance. And where am I going to find my closing balance? Once again, look, it can either be a receivable or a payable. In this case here, your SARS income tax at the end is a payable of 12,300. It's a credit balance. Therefore, looking at my information, once again, there's my credit balance. Now, the reason you may be confused is, why did I put it on the debit side? And the answer is quite simple. That 12,300 is a credit balance at the beginning of next year. But in terms of my ledger account, it has to be first on the debit side. So remember, this is what you say, this is your carried down balance, and there's your brought down balance. I hope that clarifies it. And then we had to calculate what was my taxation for the year. How did I do that? Again, go to my information. What am I told? I'm told that my net profit after tax was 392,000. But I'm fully aware that I also calculated my net profit before tax. Do you recall? It was a figure of 560,000. We calculated it in our first part of our work. Right. So therefore, what do? All that we do is take the 560,000, which was your net profit before tax, minus your net profit after tax. The difference between the two, grade 12s, is definitely your income tax for the year, namely 168,000. Therefore, if you look at your account, once again, there's your 168,000. Debit income tax, credit SARS income tax. What do I do now? Very simple. All that I do is I take the 168,000 minus 3,700 minus 12,300, and my answer is 152,000. Voila! What is this 152,000? What is this 152,000? This 152,000 that we are putting in here, that one. Let's rewrite it here for you. 152,000. What is the 152,000? Come on, grade 12s. The 152,000 is the taxation that has been paid. And that's what we're looking for. Got it? Okay, let's go on to the next one, namely your dividends paid. Now, we've spoken at length about this one here. And we're going to talk about the shortcut. What's the shortcut? Do I have information that will enable me to use the shortcut? That's what you need to ask yourself. What was the shortcut? If you go back through our other lessons where we taught the cash flow statements on Mindset Learn, you will recall that the shortcut is what? Last year's final and that's not all. We also need this year's interim. Let's see if we have this information. Going back to my information sheet, what do I know? Let's look at our shareholders for dividends, because that's the liability account, indicating to us what we owe our shareholders. Last year's final, you can clearly see, is 74,000 Rand. You know for a fact that that amount has been paid. So immediately, what you say here is that last year's final is 74,000 Rand. That was last year's amount that was owed and paid this year. Let's take it one step further. In this account here, which account? In this account here, in your shareholders for dividends, there's the 74,000 and there's the 74,000, indicating that it has been paid. So you already have one component of your bank account, namely the 74,000 that has been paid. So we can, in this particular example, use the shortcut. Step number 2, what do I need? I need my interim dividend that has been paid. Let's see if we have that information. Let's check. In my information sheet, watch under number 6 for dividends. What are we told? We are told that an interim dividend of 49,000 Rand was declared and paid. Operative word, paid. How much did we pay? We paid an amount of 49,000 Rand. So, what's the big deal, guys? Very simple. I now have the 49,000 interim dividend that has been paid, and therefore, if I add my two components together, what was it? The 74,000 last year's final plus the 49,000 this year's interim, my answer is 123,000. Watch this closely. Last year's final, remember, what did I do? I went to my balance sheet. Let me show you so you can clearly identify with what I'm saying. Watch this here. Let's see if we can find it once again. There we have it. Shareholders for dividends, last year's final. Last year's final was 74,000 Rand. Got it? And then, in my given information, what was I told? That an interim dividend of 49,000 Rand was paid. So therefore, going back to my answer, there's it. Last year's final from my balance sheet, interim from the given information, the total dividend that was paid was 123,000 Rand. Now, mindsetters, please listen carefully to what I'm saying now. There are different methods that you could use to calculate these figures. Looney, this is just one method that they could apply to the calculations. However, the preference, the choice is theirs. Whatever method they prefer, as long as you come to the correct answer, we don't care. As long as the answer is correct. Okay, so whether you're going to be using the T accounts, whether you're going to be using the vertical calculation, the choice is absolutely yours. What you understand. Most important, understand what you are doing and show your calculations, so then you can get part marks for your answers. All right, let's move on. What's the next question? Let's see what they want. Analysis and interpretation. Neville Henderson, a shareholder of Shishiko Limited, has 8,000 shares. In Shishiko Limited, 5,500 these year were purchased on the 1st of March 2010, some time ago, right? And the remainder was purchased on the 1st of October. Looney?
Yes.
What's very important in accounting, my dear, is dates.
Okay.
You know how important dates are, right? And I'm talking about the dates that you eat.
No.
They're very nutritious.
No.
Okay. Dates, guys, are important. Notice that these shares that were purchased on the 1st of October 2012, right? What did we want to know? How much has been paid to him for the dividends during the period 1st of March 2012 to 28th of February 2013. Right, let's go back into my calculation. Let's first get the information. What do we know? We know the following information. One, that an interim dividend of 49,000 Rand was declared and paid on the 30th of September 2012. So immediately I say, okay, fine, let's take the 49,000, right? Let's take the 49,000, and what are we going to do with the 49,000? We're going to say 49,000, which was the interim dividend that was paid, right? And we're going to divide it by the number of issued shares at that time in September. What do we know? Regarding the information, we know that at this stage here, the company has an authorized share capital of 340,000, but that was the authorized share capital. Remember, if we look at the information, what do we find? We find that we are told, let's see here, here's it here. A total of 140,000 shares with a par value of 5 Rand were issued up to the 1st of March 2012. A further 60,000 shares were issued on the 1st of October. So up to the point at which the interim dividend had been declared. Remember, guys, we're looking at the date. That's the challenge in this question here. You need to know, you need to ascertain that at the point at which the interim dividend was paid and declared, how many shares were out in circulation? Watch. A total of 140,000 shares with a par value were issued up to the 1st of March 2012. Therefore, taking that into account, we say, fine, let us now calculate what we need here. What do we need? We need 140,000 shares were issued up to that date which we are calculating. Right, and remember, we want the answer in cents. Therefore, let's take our calculators out and we say, fine, it's 49,000 times 100 divided by 140,000. Okay, and this gives me a value of 0.35. This means that you had declared a dividend, an interim dividend of 35 cents per share. Right, now, what did Neville Henderson own at that stage? Neville Henderson, a shareholder, owned 5,500 shares at that point. In other words, he only purchased the new shares on the 1st of October. So therefore, when he received an interim dividend, he would only receive an interim dividend on the 5,500 shares. Therefore, watch this here. We say 5,500 times 0.35, and this gives me a figure of 1,925. Understand this. This is critical, grade 12s, that the amount of dividend that has been received by Neville Henderson for this financial year is an amount of 1,925 Rand. That's the dividend that was received by Neville Henderson. Okay, now, if you look at the question, and I'm going to tweak the question a bit, just to give you a clearer understanding. If the question had said, what was the value of the dividend that has been earned by Neville Henderson? Then, watch what we'll do. We'll now say, fine, that was the interim dividend. Let's go on to the final dividend. In terms of our calculations now, if we look at the final dividend, you know that he now owns 8,000 shares. Why? Because if we look at the question, he owned 5,500 and he bought more shares because now he owns 8,000 shares. Therefore, if we look at our calculation, it's 8,000 times what was the final dividend that was declared. Let's go back and see what was that information. A final dividend of 40 cents per share was declared on the 28th of February. This means, therefore, that if we are doing our calculation, what will we say? We will say that 8,000 times 40 cents, 0.4. Let's take out our calculator, and we say 8,000 times 0.4 will give me a value of 3,200. Therefore, into my calculation, this is equal to 3,200. Now watch this. Watch this very closely. I want you to draw, to understand what are these two components. One, The 1925 has been paid to Neville Henderson already. Why? It was an interim dividend that was declared and paid. The 3,200 has only been declared. It hasn't been paid to Neville Henderson. Yes, he will receive it in the next financial year. So if the question had asked you, what was the value of the dividend that was earned by Neville Henderson, then what will you say, grade 12s? You'll say as follows. The 1925, which was the interim, plus the final of 3,000 Rand, and if you take, sorry, not 3,000, 3,200, let's go back. Yes, there it is. It's not 3,000, it's 3,200. Okay? And therefore, if you add these two components together, 3,200 plus the 1925 will give me a figure of 5,125. Now, please understand what I'm saying right now. The 1925, like I alluded to early on, is the amount that he had received. The 3,200 was the final one that has been declared as a final dividend. So in other words, how much did Neville Henderson receive for this financial year? He received 1925. What did Neville Henderson earn for this financial year? He had earned an amount of 5,125. Clearly drawing a distinction between the paid amount and the amount that has been earned. Okie dokie. I hope that is clear. Let's go on to the next question. What are we supposed to do? Calculate the average return on capital employed. For the 28th of February, refer to information points 3 and 4. Right, let's look at what we have in 3 and 4. In 3, we are told that there are financial indicators. These financial indicators are given to you. In point number 4, you are given all information regarding the shares. Right, so now, in terms of this calculation here, what is critical, grade 12s, is that you must know your ratios. Please, I'm begging you, I'm appealing to you. I can go on my knees and beg. Duni? Really I can? The reason I'm saying this is that if you walk into an exam room and if you do not know your financial indicators, then you are totally at a disadvantage.
Okay.
Because immediately you can see that they're asking you to calculate the average return on capital employed. That means you must know what the financial indicator is all about. Right, what is it all about? 1, it's your net profit before tax plus your interest over what? Over the average, right? The average of what? Of your shareholders' equity plus non-current liabilities. So if you don't know the indicator, there's no way you're going to be able to calculate it. Guys, please make sure you learn your financial indicators. Right, so based on this information here, let's carry on. What do we have as our net profit before tax? Remember, we've calculated it. 560,000 plus your interest, if I remember correctly, was 12,700, but let's just verify that figure. The interest was 12,700, therefore add the 12,700. Okay, we've got our numerator. Let's go to our denominator. Remember, the moment a question says the average, you need beginning of the year plus the end of the year. Okay, let's take that information. Shareholders' equity, 1,040,000. So, immediately we say 1,040,000 plus, what else do we have? We have 1,306,000. So therefore, 1,306,000 306,000. Plus, you need your non-current liability when, beginning and end. Let's find it out. There's your borrowed money, 180,000 plus 164,000. Therefore, 180,000 plus 164,000. Okay, so what do we have here? If we look at this calculation, you will notice that you have an average return. Luni, can I just not go through the calculation? Let me just get the answer because of time constraints.
Okay.
I have it right here with me.
All right.
And it's 42.6%. So this will make it easier because of time constraints. There's my answer. What is important is the calculation that we have done. Now the answer tells you that we have generated a return on capital employed of 42.6%. Now, how do we interpret this? Very quickly, guys. If this figure is greater than my interest rate, then we have what is called positive gearing. And if that figure is less than my interest rate, we have what is called negative gearing. Okay, grade 12s, we tried to get through as much of the question as possible. We hope that you stay focused. Remember, Luni, what Ashraf always says, you got to aim for the moon.
Yes.
And if you don't get there, perchance, definitely you will be a shining star. Who's shining star? Ashraf and Luni's shining stars.
Aww, Ashraf.
From me, that's it, guys. Question papers, work, work, work.
Oh, thank you so much, Ashraf, for that great lesson and for that awesome piece of advice. Mindsetters, you heard Ashraf say, aim for the moon. If you don't get there, you'll land on a nice little twinkly star. My star and Ashraf's star. All the best for your finals, guys. We will be with you through all of that revision and all that preparation. Don't give up and just do your best in all that you do. And we will see you same time, same place next time. So goodbye from us.
Bye-bye.